Hi. Are we on? We're on.
Yes, that's what the
Okay.
countdown was for.
My screen froze for a moment.
Oh,
My screen froze for a moment, so I couldn't see the ending of it. Hi. Well, that was a great start. Hello to the human family out there. This is LGBTQ Rants, featuring Ozma in the Dark and me, Christy Abbey, who come from the lands of ice and snow. I'm in Buffalo and she's in Minneapolis. And someone who comes from the other side of the world, Sophia Botha.
Wow, you
Welcome.
pronounced my surname correctly.
I
oh
do
shit.
pronounce.
Thank you.
I never pronounce it correctly.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry for interrupting you again.
No, that was the intro. We've got stuff today.
All right.
We're ranting about LGBTQ stuff. It's just what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Right. So I thought we could start off with a bit of a discussion about today being Holocaust Memorial Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I usually joke about me and Ozma being being lizards and involved with the global elite in the pay of George Soros, but today is not the day to make jokes to deal with the absurdity of anti-Semitism. Today is a day we remember where anti-Semitism and hate can lead. I've never known which is more monstrous, the fact that the Nazis killed 6 million Jews, or they decided to kill 6 million Jews over lunch, eating bratwurst and sauerkraut. They decided, yes, the mass industrial slaughter of, well, not just Jews, but gypsies, LGBTQ people, communists, socialists, anyone they just didn't fucking like. And yes, the Holocaust happened. I don't think Holocaust denial is a bit silly. I find it fucking offensive.
Well, I mean,
It is offensive.
I mean, it's abhorrent.
And believe it or not, I have experienced anti-Semitism from within the trans community. I know that some people will think I'm dunking on the trans community yet again. No, it's the trans community is a reflection of society, and there is an issue with anti-Semitism within society. So obviously, there's going to be an issue of anti-Semitism within the trans community. And as we all know, just because you're trans doesn't mean you're not an asshole.
I mean, it didn't stop.
Sorry, I should say, could be an arsehole. I just realised I've called every trans person an arsehole. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, just because you're trans doesn't mean you can't be an arsehole, right? But the problem I have, particularly with the trans community and sort of, shall we say, hatred towards other oppressed minorities, is that trans people really need to get to grips with the concept of intersectionality, which is if you don't support if you don't support other groups campaigning, other oppressed minorities campaign for social justice, then why should those oppressed minorities support your campaign for greater social justice?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a problem all throughout the LGBTQ community. That's why it was LGB and sometimes T back in the past. At least that's the way I remember it. And also, it was that way for a while. Now that trans is included by some people, you still have other people just ignoring intersexuality. Various gay men get criticized the most for ignoring intersectionality, but there are plenty of people who just don't want to. They think being separate makes them more cohesive and more able to do something because they can more easily describe themselves. I don't know why they don't want to just be a part of the larger community, because more people makes a bigger difference.
So the kind of anti-Semitism I've experienced in the trans community includes out-and-out Holocaust denial. I actually knew a trans woman called Fiona, granted this was some time ago, who denied the Holocaust happened. I've also experienced trans women who have bought into the whole Alex Jones, New World Order, conspiracy theory bullshit, which is anti-Semitic as fuck as it derives from the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which was an anti-Semitic diatribe about how us Jews control the world economy. Yeah. As I said, I make jokes about the absurdity of anti-Semitism because here the Nazis thought that us Jews were subhuman, yet they thought we were in control of the world.
Well, that's why the aspects of a lot of fascist countries putting their enemies as simultaneously weak and defeatable, but also a threat to everyone. It's a contradiction, but at the same time, it's a common contradiction amongst hateful groups. You see it with LGBT people. People on the right complain about the SJWs and all that, or the woke scolds, as it's more often called, and you know, as if they have some amount of power to do anything. And it's really just society changing to accept people. That's all it is. That's why there are movies that make millions of dollars that involve some sort of inclusivity theme.
Well, yeah, and I've seen it now with the far right saying, "Oh, sociology professors are pushing cultural Marxism in universities." And what they really mean by cultural Marxism, when you boiled it down, is people actually being considerate to one another. I've heard it about fucking mask mandates. Oh, this is cultural Marxism. Well, no, it's just about being considerate to other people, and respecting trans people is not Orwellian authoritarianism. It's just having consideration and respect for other people. What the fuck is wrong with that?
Well, I mean, it's sort of... It involves a conspiracy theory that any change, while positive in a lot of ways, can be seen as some sort of thing that will ruin your life. No matter how positive it is, you can always say, oh, but in the future, this is just a step to ruin your life. And that's oftentimes how they frame anything that a particular group doesn't like. And obviously cultural Marxism is also an update from the the cultural Bolsheviks? The Jewish Bolsheviks.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory.
Which is a continuation of the Elders of Zion bullshit. There's a lot that has its roots in the Elders of Zion or conspiracy theory or other similar such things.
Well, I was about to say, you get what Deborah Lipstadt describes, and she's a Jewish academic who's done a lot of work on Holocaust denial. You get two types of Holocaust denial, right? Hard Holocaust denial, which is out and out denial of the Holocaust happened, and it's soft Holocaust denial. And I've experienced both in the trans community. As I said, I've met a trans woman called Fiona who, said the Holocaust didn't happen. And then there was another trans woman called Susie, who she just said, "Oh well, you're critical of Israel." I go, "Yeah, but Sue, you're not just critical of Israel. I remember when Nick Griffin, the leader of the British National Party, was on fucking Question Time, right? And I wrote an article a 2,000-word article detailing everything he said and combating it. She then went and wrote a short piece saying, "Oh, he won that debate." For fuck's sake, she was saying nice things about a fucking out and out fascist. Some trans women do not know what side of their bread is buttered, and I sometimes think, actually, particularly with Susie and Fiona having known them, I felt there was something else going on, a sort of personality defect, which meant that there was something lacking with them, and that they needed to go around poking people to fulfill something which was absent. Well, if that makes sense. Yeah. But there is also
I don't know if it's that, but there is definitely a personality type that is more keen to accept fascism. There was a whole psychological study related to that on just to try to understand how a country can go around and murder 15 million people, 6 million of whom were Jews, and like 2 million gypsies and like millions of others.
I was going to say, yeah, sure. I mean, we've got to remember that the Nazis did keep the Holocaust, tried to, cover up the Holocaust. I mean, Himmler said himself, he gave a speech to the SS where he said the eradication of the Jews was the page of glory which no Nazi will ever read.
Which is 1984 type stuff.
Yeah,
rewriting history like that.
But I was about to say, you're right. We know that there are trans women who will side with fascists. Rosa Dawn, Blair White, India Willoughby,
and trans men like Calvin Garra.
Yeah.
We always drag Rose and forget that Calvin Garra exists.
Oh, what about Buck Angel?
Buck Angel is a different case. He's not any of that. He's trans med. So.
Well, I mean, he sides with TERFs regarding a lot of eradication of trans right, and TERFs have the similar logic to fascists.
Yes, but
well, the easiest way to I've always used the comparison with the Ku Klux Klan with TERFs, because the Ku Klux Klan believe in white supremacy, right? TERFs believe in cis supremacy. That's the easiest way to understand it. But the point I was trying to make about Blair White, India Willoughby, and Rosa Dawn is they believe in the trans equivalent to the fallacy of the good Jew, which is obviously there were some Jews in Nazi Germany who thought if they went along with the Nazis that nothing would happen to them. Obviously, they were fucking wrong. And it's the same with Ben Shapiro. In another sense, because he's Jewish, he goes along with Trump, and it's like, hey, Ben, you do realize that that all those cunts marching through fucking Charlottesville saying the Jews will not replace us, we're all fucking Trump supporters, don't you?
Well, I mean,
in some ways, it's denial. In other sense, it's just absolute fucking denial.
Well, I get the impression that that some aspects of the Orthodox Jewish community in the United States has forgotten the Holocaust, whereas a lot of Reform Judaism, it's taught quite strictly. That's why there are so many Reform Jews fighting against the ICE.
Well, yeah, and exactly. I was about to say, Ben Shapiro defends the ICE camps, and what else do you call them but other than concentration camps?
Well, they are concentration camps, and there's also stuff that happened in concentration camps before they became death camps, like the mass hysterectomies.
Yeah, obviously. But one thing I'll say for you LGBTQ people over in the United States, you have just had a very lucky escape. Seriously,
Yes.
for all Ellen Arnie's faults, I do commend her on the fact that we did a stream. It was almost 4 hours long, where we literally went through everything Trump has done to quash LGBTQ rights. And I said to her, the parallels with Nazi Germany are really startling. And that if Trump had won the election, you would have looked at being ordered to have to wear a pink triangle in public or whatever modern day equivalent.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go about Trump, because it's like he was insisting that trans be on your ID, and that you'd have to present ID for public accommodations. But he also thought you had to present ID to buy a quart of milk. So not entirely sure what he's thinking, but he's definitely anti-trans.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Anyways, talking about pink triangles, that's our first story for tonight.
Oh no! Did someone succeed on the pink triangle?
Hold on. Oh, yeah. As I said, you see, this is what us Jews say about this. Never forget.
Never again.
Yeah, never forget. So it never happens again. Yeah, I actually remember many years ago, a friend came around my house when my old apartment, and most of my apartment was taken up with my book collection. And he was going on, he noticed all these books on the Nazis. He said, I thought you're Jewish. And I said, yeah, know thy enemy.
Yeah.
You have to educate yourself.
I've actually read Mein Kampf.
Yeah, so have I.
I have not. I've also never seen Schindler's List. It's really sad. I saw several other movies about the Holocaust, just not Schindler's List.
I would suggest reading it first.
I got burnt out.
Yeah, actually, I would suggest reading it first because
sure.
The film, I don't know if Christy would agree with me here. The film made him out to be darker than he actually was.
Yeah, Keneally is the name of the guy who wrote the Schindler's Ark, but they changed it to Schindler's List at some point.
Yeah. Basically, for instance, it states in the book the reason he was a Nazi Party member was because he was selling farming or tractors or something like that in a part of Czechoslovakia where basically you were likely to get more orders if you were a Nazi Party member. I remember reading that.
Yeah, well, I mean that fit part of the how the Nazi Party dealt with some of the economic things.
I mean, I would say, I mean, I did watch the film over the weekend, and I was in floods of tears again. It is a very hard film to watch if you're a Jew. Anyway,
I remember that I watched it like at 3 a.m. uncut. I said, okay, I'll watch a half an hour of this. I'll watch the rest of it when I get up. And 3 hours later, because it's very compelling, but it's very dark, and it gave me obviously, as it should, gave me nightmares for quite a while.
So today is Holocaust Memorial Day. This is an article in Pink News about how the Nazi pink triangle became a defiant symbol of gay rights. Now, I'm going to say this for the LGBTQ community. We do take back stuff which is, used against us. We took back the word queer. And there's always long been an argument about taking the word back, tranny. As Ellen Arnie said, and I agree with her here, she sort of said, we shouldn't spend all our time trying to take back words, We should just accept those words are bad. Those words are used against us. Why should we take them back?
Well, usually words are taken back when it becomes less popular anyways.
Is it all right to scroll down?
Reappropriation eliminates some power from the people who are being bigoted. I'm not a huge fan, although I do use the word queer to describe myself fairly often. So
Same.
Is it okay to scroll down?
yeah.
Yeah.
So as the world marks Holocaust Memorial Day, Pink News remembers all those in the LGBT plus community that were persecuted by the Nazis. And I've seen figures, but actually no one actually knows how many LGBT people. What I do know, we know about 6 million Jews. We also know that the next group, the next group to suffer the most persecution were gypsies. In fact, by percentage, as in a percentage of the population, gypsy population, there were more gypsies killed.
Mm-hmm.
So
which we're not really supposed to say because deniers use that as a way to.
Yeah, I know, but it's the truth.
It is the truth. Yes.
I
wanted to point that out so no one was accusing you of doing that.
Yeah. So, and how the pink triangle used to identify gay or bisexual men in concentration camps became a symbol of for gay rights, which is true. It did. When Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party seized power in Germany in July 1933, the dictatorship moved to persecute and murder minority groups, including Jews, LGBT people, the Romani people, and political prisoners. Beginning in 1933, the Nazis built a network of concentration camps. Right, I should explain, I don't know if it explains it in this. The concentration camps were first used to deal with political prisoners.
Yeah.
Jews weren't immediately thrown in them. This is why I said
the ghettos before the Jews
well, the first thing they did was basically, this is why I said the parallels with Trump were really uncomfortable, was because what the Nazis did was by law exclude Jewish people from German society, or tried to, by law. That's what they first tried. The final solution wasn't decided until January the 20th, 1942. As I said, over lunch. Beginning in 19, all right. This persecution continued following the outbreak of World War II. Well, obviously accelerated it. In 1939 and between 1941 and 1945, the Nazi Party systematically murdered 6 million European Jews as part of the plan known as the final solution to the Jewish problem. Yeah, we know most of this, all right? Right here. It's estimated that the Nazis imprisoned more than 50,000 gay men. I've heard figures far higher than that, actually. Over 100,000, including an estimated 5,000 and 15,000 men who were sent to concentration camps, according to research by historian, I'm not going to butcher his name.
Rüdiger Lautmann?
Yeah, that's it. So this is basically a chart of the various insignia, I guess is the word, which the you know, whatever group you belong to, you had to wear, you know.
Yeah, political prisoners, immigrants, obviously an easy one. I don't know, that homosexual, obvious one. I think people who don't work might be the thing, because Arbeit is work. So I assume it's people who, the black colors for people who didn't work or didn't fit into society for working. So probably otherwise queer or disabled people, I assume.
Yes, and let's remember before the final solution was decided, the Nazis had a program called the T4 program, which is when they first started gassing people. And guess who were the first victims?
Disabled.
The disabled.
Yeah.
Trans people first, yeah.
No, it's the disabled.
Well, disabled, yeah. Sorry.
Well, but you think about it. Disabled people don't exactly fit the image of an Aryan race, do they?
No, but they have problems of fitting where the trans people were done because it keeps getting erased from history.
Although sex between women was not officially illegal in arts, you see, this is the other weird thing. The Victorians made homosexuality illegal in Britain, but that excluded women.
Yeah.
But they're okay with lesbians. Weird.
I mean, not completely. I can't remember the. It's been a while since I've read the list of reasons for people to get sent into camps.
Yeah, it says here the persecution of lesbians. I would imagine lesbians were persecuted.
Asocial prisoners. Yeah.
Trans people
because
too.
if they didn't have sex with men or want to have sex with men, they might just be seen as asocial and put given the black triangle, or just not interested much in sex in general. They might be given the black triangle and put in there, because women are obviously women were viewed in the sense of being used for the production of more soldiers.
Right. So it's mentioned here, trans people too are known to have been persecuted under the Nazis, including being sent to concentration camps. According to Trans Day of Remembrance in 1938, the Institute of Forensic Medicine recommended that the phenomenon of transvestitism be exterminated from public life.
Yeah.
I am unaware. I'm sure there are some documented cases, but I'm unaware of any, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
The first person to receive a
Little Nelly.
What's that?
The Danish girl. What's her name?
No, she's not the first. She's the second. The other one was disappeared at the beginning of World War II. Well, disappeared at the beginning of the.
In Nazi concentration camps, a pink triangle was to identify some gay men. In concentration camps, LGBTQ. I always say LGBTQ automatically. LGBT plus inmates were subjected to starvation and forced labor. As well as facing discrimination from SS guards and fellow inmates. Why doesn't that not surprise me? I'm trying to. This is quite a long article, but worth checking, worth reading up on, right? Gay men after World War II and how the pink triangle was reclaimed as a gay rights symbol.
Yeah.
After the end of World War II, the persecution of gay and bisexual men continued. Same-sex, well, we know this. I mean, Alan Turing, the guy who helped break the Enigma code, was prosecuted for being a homosexual in this country. Ended up killing himself. One of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century.
But different, therefore bad.
Yeah.
This
sorry, I'm scrolling again. Sorry.
Destroyed.
Well, look, folks, go and read this article because it's interesting. All right. But yes, we took back the pink triangle.
My own experience with it was mostly the lesbian community took it. I was big in the lesbian community around here, at least. I don't know other ones. Because I hung around with them for a long time.
Right, moving on. Right, to far right news. Yes, Nigel, and far right news from this side of the pond. Nigel Farage has lost nearly 50,000 followers after Twitter suspends QAnon accounts.
Sorry.
Nigel Farage loses a whole load of followers as soon as Twitter, takes out the Nazi garbage.
Yeah, I've done nothing but gain followers, so that's a good sign that I'm not followed by QAnon.
Well, yeah, I mean, this follows on from PragerU losing 10% of their followers on Twitter after they announced this. So we know the kind of support these fuckers now get, don't we? They get support from out fucking fascist Nazis.
Well, Matt Gaetz lost. It was counting it down like a badge of honor. It's like, okay, if you like, I guess, up to you.
I know Matt Gaetz was, but really, should he really be moaning about losing the amount of followers he's been losing if those followers are Nazis? Does he really want people to know that he's followed by Nazis?
Well, he was maintaining that it was people that were specifically unfollowing him because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, well,
it's all about you there, Princess.
Right. I just think we're now finding out who follows these right wing. Well, we always knew, but now this backs up what we our suspicions. Yes, far right bigot who targeted Hunza Youssef launches doomed bid to become MSP. Right, so there's elections to the Scottish Parliament in May, right? And Jada Franson, who is, well, she was the deputy leader of Britain First, but I think, they now call themselves the British Freedom Party. Why is it that Nazi parties around Europe now call themselves Freedom this and that? Because you've got the Freedom Party in Austria, which is essentially the Nazi party.
Same reason they used to call themselves socialist.
Yeah. They're trying to get libertarians on board, aren't they?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, I know. I saw something. I won't say where, but I see that libertarians are aligning with the Boogaloo Boys. I'm sorry, the Boogaloo the Boogaloo Boys sounds like it's gay porn from the 1970s. Not a racist hate group, but they are a racist hate group.
Well, this is how they trick you.
So Jada Franson, who we often refer to as Screechy because that's how she talks, is standing against Nicola Sturgeon's constituency. Nicola Sturgeon, of course, is the First Minister of Scotland. She ain't going to win, but it's like, why is this a story? Yeah.
Well, because far too many people don't want to believe how much the Nazi Party has influenced a lot of conservative movements.
That's true, but the point is, so what? She's going to lose a deposit. Fuck her. What did I do there?
Wait, what?
You clicked the.
I clicked the what? I think
There's
we're
a,
all right.
there's a news story about her almost every day. There was one this morning.
Oh, God. So, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the QAnon nutcase from Georgia. Which do you prefer, Christy?
Asshole.
I prefer. Yeah, no, asshole sounds the best because it's very much. It's just I don't even think like nutcase really describes that, and also like
The one from this morning is when she was still a YouTuber, and or whatever she was doing. For some reason, I'm blanking. She was following David Hogg, the anti-gun activist, survivor of Parkland, and yelling questions at him, and then accusing him of not having any answers when he was ignoring her.
Yeah. So, shall we have a listen to what she has to say or not? All right.
Yeah, this is a fun little bit.
Just filed articles of impeachment on President Joe Biden. We'll see how this goes.
I'm sure
Terrible.
he's really shaking in his boots in the Oval Office. Oops. Sorry, was on that a bit too long. Yes, and the other nutcase, other female nutcase in the GOP, Bobbin. There are allegations that she gave the some of the Capitol rioters a tour around Congress a couple of days before.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, there are.
No,
not Mickey Sherrill is not.
No, this is Bobbin from Colorado.
Colbert from Colorado.
So I always call her Sorry, I call her because her name is so similar to that woman who chopped her husband's penis off.
Yeah, but didn't he deserve it?
Probably. But yeah, I mean, this is the congresswoman who wanted to bring a gun onto the floor of the House of Representatives, isn't it? Shit like that.
Colbert, yeah. Colbert is
she's a fucking nutcase.
Colbert's getting kicked out, so that's a thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. She's fiercely denying it, and it kind of makes me wonder. The more she denies it, the more you kind of think, yeah, it happened. That she helped. She enabled these fucking rioters.
Well, there are plenty of police officers to do that.
Well, yeah, and I still think the police have got a lot of questions to ask because I saw the footage of them letting them through the fucking gate.
I'm more concerned about them being the footage of them being let through security doors.
No.
That's what she's saying. You're both saying the same thing.
No.
No, I'm not saying the security doors. There were barriers outside Congress.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just saying.
And I saw them move the barrier and let them through.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And
the policeman was actually ushering them on.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just know that there is footage of police officers opening secure doors in the Capitol building and letting people through. Secure doors.
Right. Yeah.
Of the building.
Yeah.
Which is even less excusable, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but there is one, and I mean, look, generally I do believe all cops are bastards, but I have to hand it to the Eugene guy who, led the protesters away from the Senate.
Yep.
He's
been promoted to deputy sergeant at arms.
Yeah.
Well, he deserves the Medal of Valor.
I think he's getting that as well.
He's getting the Medal of Valor for soldiers.
Oh.
He's getting the Congressional Gold Medal.
Yeah, he is getting a medal for what he did and a promotion.
One thing I was going to say is Biden. I know one of the things that Biden has already done is Trump slashed the funding to the FBI to combat domestic terrorism.
Yes.
Biden's already increased it. So, America really does have a problem with domestic terrorism. It's pretty fucking obvious. And it goes right to the heart of government. Yeah, with various congressmen probably enabling those rioters, and the fact that we know that the police have been infiltrated by white supremacists and the fire brigade and various fire brigades.
Well, I mean, Biden has done a lot in a small amount of time.
Yeah,
a surprisingly large amount, including the executive order banning discrimination on the basis.
Yeah. We'll get to all that. I've got
well, you brought Biden up, so I thought we were talking about Biden for a second. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, because obviously this is in relation to domestic terrorism. Yeah. And I mean, the FBI have been saying the other thing actually one thing that pissed me off about the FBI was I saw the director of the FBI give a press conference, and he sort of said, and he didn't say, it seems to me that the FBI knew there was something going on, but they didn't know quite what's going on. It's a bit like 9/11, the fact that the FBI did go and interview two of the pilots down in Florida before 9/11, and it seems that the FBI were aware of something going on. Well, it was pretty explicit if you went on to fucking Reddit and fucking the Donald.win or whatever the fuck it is, and fucking Parler. I mean, it seems to me yet again that the FBI have had their head up their ass.
It's
just saying.
It's legally complicated. That is actually the biggest problem. I mean, all right.
Yeah. Talking about the FBI. Turns out the Proud Boys leader has been a prolific informer for law enforcement.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Christy. I keep talking. I know. Sorry. This came out today.
I found out about this just before I came on here, so I haven't had time to look at it.
Yeah. Neither have I. I saw that Kevin and Christy were going through it. I mean, look, am I surprised? No, because I also suspect, but I don't know about you, Christy, because you know who Baked Alaska is. I always had the suspicion you might have been an FBI informant.
Baked Alaska?
Yeah.
Probably, but I can't say for sure.
I couldn't find a specific article about Baked Alaska because he's been arrested.
Yeah.
But I know Dusty had the photo. I don't know if you remember, Baked Alaska got into trouble. He went into some store and started throwing masks off the shelves and stuff.
The one where he was drunk, right?
Yeah, and basically the police came and he was giving them lip and whatever else. Well, anyways, basically they had that side by, and then they had Baked Alaska, his mugshot, he's having to wear a mask because he's got COVID. Because that's the other thing. There was that video, and people can go and check it out for themselves, of him coughing on people during the Capitol riots. I'd love to know how many people have caught COVID. So how many of those who took part in the Capitol riots have
it's
caught
biological
COVID?
warfare.
I actually think
Arguably, like having a disease and knowing you have the disease and actively making an effort to spread it.
We do have case law for that. Actually.
Yes, you do. I do remember that there was
AIDS or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone.
That was from near here, so I mean, not very.
Yeah,
near.
there's a law in this country. If you knowingly have HIV and have unprotected sex, you will be convicted. Right. I was going to say there is precedent for this, particularly with COVID. I don't know if you remember, not long after sort of COVID hit America, there was some, I don't know, high school, college idiot who went into a supermarket and started licking all the shelves.
Oh.
And chewing bread.
Oh, Jesus, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And he was, I think it happened in St. Louis, and he was charged with terrorist offenses.
We don't have specific anti-terrorist laws in the US, which is stupid. And there are some for non-domestic. I was gonna say foreign, and I really just don't want to, but I don't know a better word right now.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I know the US obviously has experienced terrorism, but the thing is, not to the. I mean, for instance, Britain obviously has a lot more experience with terror of continuous terrorism because of Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas America, I mean, sure, you've had the weatherman, if you really can call them terrorists. Well, okay, they place bombs. I guess that is terrorism. But the thing is, it seems to me that America hasn't. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't had like what we've had with the IRA and the loyalist provos, or what Spain has had with ETA.
Again, complicated. That's a whole discussion.
Yeah, because obviously the size of America means that you can have like one or two cities effectively the same or similar to IRA type stuff and not have it affect the rest of the country.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's probably more regionalized.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Yes. Certain somebody called Ozma said that this case was over. I do remember that. Guess what, Ozma? It's not over. He's still getting sued.
Yeah.
And he's tried to have here we are. The Texas Supreme Court has rejected a request from conspiracy theory Alex Jones to dismiss 4 defamation lawsuits filed by the parents of children killed in the Sandy Hook Elementary School. The action by the Supreme Court on Friday, which was presented without comment from the state's justices, upheld rulings by 2 lower courts that stated that the lawsuits could proceed. Oh, I hope they proceed. I hope Alex Jones, after all this, he does not have a pot to piss in.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing. I thought these cases were done with. I didn't realize they were still going on. I was wrong.
Yeah.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually speaking of her again. They are discussing whether or not to hit her with the lawsuit as well, because she's also a denialist.
Oh, great.
Because of course she is.
Yeah. Well, as I said, she's a QAnon arsehole.
Yeah.
Talking of Alex Jones, I saw this just before I went on air. Hold on.
sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
No, the son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself when I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage. So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I liked men, I'd be proud of it. I'd have a line of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women. And you sons of bitches sit there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it. So
I agree with Ali here. Good to know.
Of President
Good to know. I mean, come on, Alex, give it a go. You might like it, you know?
Well, I mean, also the 300 woman thing, it's, that's like the Wilt Chamberlain claims, except he was always coming home with, like, just some, I don't know, fast food or whatever.
Well, we know what he has got. We know for sure what he has a kink for, and you do know, don't you?
Alex Jones?
Yeah. Well, basically he was doing a show, and there's someone, because these days with cameras you can actually zoom. Basically, they figured out there was trans porn on his phone.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me, because I swear, like, half the conservative people are just fucking chasers.
Yeah.
And like, most chasers aren't fighting for trans rights, which they should. They just want to see us as sex objects.
Exactly. You know, that's why most conservatives probably watch Blair White. They're probably, you know, sitting there with, you know...
Well, they're seeing her faux bimbo look.
You know, wanking themselves to death.
Well, if we're lucky. If we're lucky, they're wanking themselves to death. Otherwise...
yes. Right. So, yeah, the QAnon shaman feels duped after Trump doesn't pardon him. You're still going to jail, motherfucker. You know, you're not going to worm your way out of this one.
He's I'm finding it interesting that a lot of the QAnon people are feeling quite duped for not
yeah, because
not that the plan didn't pan out, but that just that they didn't get pardoned. They were expecting to get pardoned.
Well, okay, a few scary things, right? First of all, the QAnon types, right? They believe Donald Trump's lies, but they'll be Holocaust deniers. They are the type who will most probably be Holocaust deniers.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but that's because they're not using any element of... They're not using good critical thinking. They are legit just going with what sounds nice. Yeah,
but the other thing which scares me is, obviously, Nazi Germany was built on the cult of the personality, the Fuhrer and all that, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think the MAGA cult are?
Yeah.
Well, yes. And QAnon, for as weird as it is, gives people a story to believe in. And as long as you have a story that explains everything, then you're good, you know.
Well,
I mean, not good, but...
Yeah, but the thing is, what is it, the most scariest thing is, what I know about QAnon is it was some troll on 4chan.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
Yep.
Yeah.
All this mayhem has been caused by some fucking troll in his mum's basement.
Hey,
yep.
I lived for a long time in the upstairs of my mom's place. I was never in the basement. But that said, I had friends who were in my mom's basement.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, my darling.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Anyways.
I just want to be a nitpicky brat about it.
Keeping up with one of the...
Is she the private airplane one?
You think it's just me right now you're watching? No. This is going to be all of us. Right now, this is about 1% of us. We're all going to be up here. We're going to be breaking those windows. We're going to be having to deal with the tear with the gas bombs. You have to get dressed for them. Because we have to, because they're taking our shit.
I would like a pardon from the president of the United States. I think that we all deserve a pardon. I'm facing prison sentence. I think that I do not deserve that, and I think every person.
Yes, you do. And guess what?
You broke several federal. You did federal crimes.
I'll tell you what. Guess what? Trump didn't pardon you. You go to jail, motherfucker.
Look, dealing with those tear bombs and tearing with that gas, like it's. Fuck, I can't remember. I can't even replicate what the fuck she said. It was just entertaining to. I'm sorry that entertained me for no good reason.
Ah, yes. Right. Yes, Ben Shapiro. There's something Christy Winters and Kevin Logan have got wrong. They say that his yarmulke is becoming ever increasingly larger. No, his head's shrinking for the amount of shit which comes out of his mouth. Anyways, he's been whining about the fact that the White House website now asks you for your pronouns.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just a simple thing.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's just
Christ.
like...
There are people starving in, various poor nations, and he's, But no, that's not what Ben Shapiro's obsessing about. That's not what is getting him hot, hot under the fucking collar. No, it's the fact that the White House now has website now has the courtesy to ask you what pronouns you would like to be addressed as.
I mean, didn't he ever join Columbia Record House?
Sorry?
They Columbia Record House used to ask for pronouns. Columbia Record Club. Sorry, I'm mixing up two different things.
Sorry.
I don't know who they are. So sorry.
It's a very old and very U.S. joke.
Emily brought up an important thing that I need to mention, which is who's going to mention to those people that they need to admit guilt before they get pardoned. They would have had to admit guilt beforehand.
Well, accepting a pardon technically is an admission of guilt, as somebody pointed out to Sheriff Joe a while back.
Fair.
He didn't believe them. It's like, no, that's part of it.
Also, this is the reason Trump didn't try to pardon himself, because that would have been admitting guilt.
Mm-hmm.
He also didn't pardon any of his family members. I know he pardoned Steve Bannon.
Look, Steve Bannon is like a family member to Trump.
But there is, I forgot which state prosecutor, but there is still he still faces a state prosecution for fraud, Steve Bannon. And his pardon doesn't mean he gets back on social media. He's still banned from fucking everywhere on social media as well. So,
look, Trump has some precious family members: Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon, that one person who was killed in prison who did child trafficking. I'm
Jeffrey
terrible
Epstein.
with names. What?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. Those are the Trump family.
Oh, sorry, Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. Someone told me that if you pronounce his name wrong, it's anti-Semitism. Someone actually did tell me that. I don't understand
so
that
weird.
one. Yeah.
That's just weird because people pronounce names wrong. Like, well, I was gonna say that shows the BBC and a lot of Britain to be incredibly racist because they constantly mispronounce people's names if they're from different countries. Do you know how many times the fucking BBC said Gandhi? Gandhi. I pronounce this particular way, but Gandhi. What the fuck, BBC?
Pronounce Worcestershire.
Dear.
Yeah. You Americans are racist against us British. That. Yeah, look, people just pronounce names wrong. I mean, it wasn't like any... yeah, I mean, look, Jeffrey Epstein was a cunt, all right? He was a pedo. So... What the fuck ever. Anyways, we're getting off the subject.
Yeah, sorry.
So, anyways, last Thursday, I woke up... Christy, are you paying attention, hon?
I am paying attention, yes.
So I woke up, and this was trending.
I remember that. That was an interesting day.
So apparently Biden has erased women, right? Does that mean Kamala Harris is no longer vice president?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
She was only vice president until Biden was sworn in, because Kamala Harris was sworn in earlier. So she was vice president, and then as soon as Biden got sworn in, she erased from existence.
So this is all to do with the fact that Joe Biden's one of Joe Biden's executive orders, and the fact that he has signed the Equalities Act into law. And
equality.
That's what they call it. That's what they call it there.
Yeah.
And so TERFs have been getting their panties in a bind. Well,
I
jolly
wouldn't say
good.
that most of the TERFs are men.
Well, the more TERFs get angry at Joe Biden, the more good he seems. He's probably doing, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I mean, where were the TERFs protesting? The appointment to the Supreme Court of Amy Coney Barrett, who wants to basically turn the United States into fucking Gilead. Yeah, where were they protesting the fact that she doesn't believe, in women's reproductive rights?
Well,
I thought TERFs were feminists. I thought they defended women's rights. Oh no, I forgot. They're actually just transphobic bigots who use feminism as a front. They're not feminists. Yeah.
No, they do feminism quite wrong.
Yeah, they're transphobes, and I really wish we stopped. It's hard not to call them TERFs because that's how everyone refers to them as. But they should be called, just called what they are: transphobic, bigoted cunts.
Yeah.
Anyways, so here's the executive order. Executive order on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Now, it's the second paragraph. I think someone told me it's. I know some people are going to say, "Didn't you read this before you came?" Of course I did. I can't remember fucking everything. Covering a lot of stuff.
Why not?
Do any one of you two want to read this out? Well, I mean, the Americans.
Section 1 policy, or do you want to skip immediately to Section 2?
I think it's the first paragraph here is.
Oh, every person should be treated with respect and dignity, and should be able to live without fear, no matter who they are or whom they love. Children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they will be denied access to the restroom, the locker room, or school sports. Adults should be able to earn a living and pursue a vocation, knowing that they will not be fired, demoted, or mistreated because of whom they go to go home to, or because of how they dress, does not conform to sex-based stereotypes. People should be able to access healthcare and secure a roof over their heads without being subjected to sex discrimination. All persons should receive equal treatment under the law, no matter their gender identity or sexual orientation.
Yeah. And if you disagree with that, you're a bigot. No, I'm sorry, you are.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, with just that one paragraph, Trump has changed the lives of LGBTQ people in America.
Biden has changed the lives.
Who? What did I say?
You said Trump.
Oh.
Look, I realize Trump has been president for a while, but Biden is the president now.
God, I can't believe I fucking said that. That's like the Eddie Izzard brain fart I had, isn't it? I made a big deal about people referring to Eddie Izzard as she and her, and then I referred to the pronoun. You weren't on that one, Christy.
It's just.
Yeah, Biden has changed the lives of LGBTQ people substantially for the better with just that one paragraph, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, TERFs are be getting their panties in a bind about that. Oh well.
Well, like I said, that's still not quite correct because it's mostly men who are TERFs. Like half the time, it's some dude just being like, "Oh, I'm an ally to women everywhere or whatever," and going on some sort of transphobic rant. You probably only have 20 or 30 women in the entire organization.
Cis men, trans women make cis men feel very insecure because we obviously have questioned our gender, and they don't want to. They're scared that they may end up doing that. Questioning your gender identity. I mean, it can be upsetting. I don't deny that, but as far as
that's only because of society.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, being trans is liberation. It's emancipation. It's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Yes. Joe Biden signs the most substantive LGBT executive order in history as America quickly moves away from Trump dystopia. Can I just say, right, the reason obviously this is to do with the executive order. The reason I'm bringing up this headline is because there's been a criticism of Pink News in Britain that they are way too neutral, particularly with trans stuff, right? Yet the American division of Pink News tends to be a lot more biased in favor of LGBTQ stuff, right?
Yeah.
I do remember one time reading an article in Pink News about some TERF protest, and it was like the BBC were reporting on, like, some Nazis marched through Golders Green today. It's like very matter of fact, and there have been complaints from particularly trans people that are here that Pink News is way too, dry and neutral and matter of fact. But I've noticed with stories from America, they tend to be, as I said, a lot more biased. I've just repeated myself, haven't I?
Yeah.
So this is why I brought this up, because it's just something I have noticed. And I actually tried, because someone else had noticed, and I tried to explain to them, well, one of the reasons for this is because in Britain, the left are split on the issue of trans rights, right? Whereas the left in America is united.
Sort of, yeah.
Mostly.
But I'd say the mainstream left are.
Yeah, most of the mainstream left are. Some of the... Once you get a certain point further left, you get the class reductionism thing where they're like, things will be fixed if we fix the economy, like racism and transphobia will just magically disappear.
Yeah. So I just thought I should bring that up.
And it's not class reductionism, but whatever.
So he has overturned the ban on on trans military personnel.
Yay.
Yep.
Well, okay, I'm going to be honest. I take the Bill Hicks line about all this. Anyone dumb enough to want to be in the military should be in the military.
Well, I mean, so it's the thing about the United States is, as the United States has gone further and further away from people being able to have a living wage, the military seems like a better and better option just for survival. And because it's a more it's at the very least on the surface level a more guaranteed way of surviving. And then also when it comes to if someone is denying gender identity related stuff, it seems like an easier choice or whatnot. I know because of various psychological stuff, I have had some desire to join the military just for the security of income and survivability. I know that seems a bit strange, but it's true. The military preys on the poor.
It does. We know that the military will say to people who want to go to college, "Oh, join the military. We'll pay for you to go to college."
Yeah. Well, the other problem is, if people, even if they didn't like the military after they joined and served their time and left, this potentially affects the ability of any trans person to get, or the previous ban affects the ability of former personnel or personnel who are or were trans to get any sort of proper benefits which they might need.
Mm-hmm.
Look, as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the military. It's
I'm
more
not
to
the fan
do
of
with
military either. I just understand the reasoning behind people entering into the military in the United States.
But anyone who wants to serve should be able to serve, as far as I'm concerned, as long as they pass the physical and mental parameters. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't know if you've been keeping up with Aria, but Aria on Free Talk Live said that she supported the trans ban in the military, not because she supported Trump, but she said she sort of said, well, if they ban, other minorities, eventually no one else will be able to serve in the military, and that would be a good thing. We can get rid of it. I understood where she was coming from, but I don't agree. Yeah. I mean, obviously, she's a hardened libertarian, and I get where she's coming from, but I have to be a lot more pragmatic. And we do need a military to protect our nations.
Oh, but, no, the U.S. does not need the military anywhere near as big as it is. And
no, it doesn't need it as big as it is. I definitely agree with that. And it should pull its troops out of foreign bases. I mean, you wouldn't accept the Chinese having a base in California, would you? So why should the Americans have bases in Germany?
America has bases in it's a lot of countries. It's at least 40-some countries.
Yeah, look, the problem I have is the military-industrial complex always wanting some, war in some, far-off place, and usually the motivation is plunder a country full of brown people for their oil. That's usually the case, and that's the problem I have with the military.
Yeah.
The British and particularly the British and American military.
Well, this wouldn't be the problem to the degree that it is if we had kept up with the minimum wage with inflation, because extreme poverty and desperation are the biggest incentivizers for people to join the military. And if the minimum wage was where it should be from inflation, which is like $25 an hour, this would not be any, like, I mean, for one thing, the military wanted to accept transgender military personnel forever. They delayed the Trump thing. Like, the military didn't have a problem with trans military personnel. It was a Trump thing.
We know it was Trump's. Yeah, Trump's. But it was the prejudice of his voting base, wasn't it? You know, so
yeah.
Right. So yeah, Jill Stein. Sorry,
Jill Biden.
I got it again.
Look, Jill. Wait, isn't Jill Stein?
She was the Green Party
NPR?
presidential candidate a few years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Green Party candidate. Never mind. Sorry.
Well,
I don't know why I thought
it's a green
NPR
background,
person.
so how can you? Anyways, Dr. Jill Biden visits LGBTQ community clinic in just the second day as first lady. Good on her.
Yeah.
Melania Trump. Well, you know, the only thing I ever remember her doing is walking up that plane with that coat with the message "I don't care about the ice camps" on the back of it.
No, there were a couple other things.
I don't care.
can't remember.
Was what it said, but
Yeah, but there was pressure on the Trump administration to change policy about separating mothers from their children in those camps, and yeah, that it was at that time, and she walked up the stairs and said, "I don't care," and we obviously knew what that was about.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah.
I mean, Joe Biden and Jill Biden have both done a lot early on, and they, you know, the rights of LGBTQ plus people seem to be they seem to care about it, at least based off of what they do.
But
yeah. I mean, he's been that way for quite a long time.
He's done so much in just the first week. Yeah, for LGBTQ people, right?
Not just that. There was the raising of the minimum wage, federal minimum wage, to $15 an hour.
Has he done it? Has he done it?
The federal minimum wage.
No, it's going to be in the reconciliation bill though, so it will pass.
I would have thought that has to be.
No. I was thinking of for federal employees. I thought he raised the federal minimum wage because he has the power.
I thought Congress, when it comes to spending, has to.
That's why. Okay, it's very long and extensive, but yes, it will be in the reconciliation bill. So that's
okay.
That will again. That you have to go from scratch to explain budget reconciliation, which is, and it's boring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not boring to me, but I'm a weird person.
Now, this is probably the most important thing to what needs to be said. Yeah. Democrats need to prioritize transgender civil rights while they can. Now, the reason I say that is that we both know. Take a breath, Sophia. All right, can one of you take over for just a minute?
Okay, so the Democrats need to prioritize the transgender civil rights while they still can. And I think some of the reasoning is because there's more of a position because there's a greater number of Democrats in the Senate, but also I personally agree with well, I can't think how am I dying with names? Bernie Sanders. How I don't know how I couldn't remember his name. Bernie Sanders brought up the fact that the Democratic Party, in its most favorable position, needs to push for a lot of things that help people to prevent the Republican Party from just bouncing back right afterwards, and the like in 2 years or whatever when it comes to House and Senate. So the Democratic Party needs to step things up. And yes, transgender civil rights is a big thing that needs to be stepped up by the Democratic Party. But also things that help with minimum wage, helps with the formation of unions because of all the breakdowns, the anti-union policies that have gone around. Like those two things would help a lot, and also the bringing us towards the Green New Deal type plan to try to prevent the people from dying, humanity from dying. If it is preventable at this point.
I was going to say the last time there's been Democratic, the last two Democratic presidents in the midterms, Republicans have taken back control of Congress. Famously in 1994, with the contract of America, when Bill Clinton was president, Newt Gingrich and all that. And of course, it happened with Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the complaint, obviously, with Clinton, we know about it. The complaint with Obama was that he was a bit too autocratic, a bit too distant. I'm not so sure that would happen with Biden because Biden's a Washington insider. So he'll know how to do business. So I'm hoping it won't happen. And the other thing is, of course, there's rumors that Trump might try and launch his own Patriot Party because it's obvious that Mitch McConnell and various other, leaders of the Republican Party do not want anything to do with Trump anymore.
Well, yeah, but they'll only split the Republican Party.
Yeah, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good thing.
Because if they would cancel themselves out at the elections.
Yeah.
Unless they form some sort of electoral pack. The other thing is, why does Trump need to start up a new Patriot Party? Why doesn't he just take over the American Nazi Party? It's still a thing.
Well, because they can't they can't say that out loud.
The latest news on the Patriot Party is that it's too much work.
And of course, Christy will know this. There was a Patriot Party in the United States.
Yes, they were.
And it was socialist.
Yes, socialist. Sorry, terminology.
Yeah.
I'm
old.
So this is a British perspective. If you agree with Trump more than Biden on trans rights, there's something wrong. Now, obviously that is an Icelandic name, which for me is unpronounceable. We generally refer to her as Al. I've met her actually.
As what?
Al.
Al?
Yeah, and she goes out with a trans non-binary man called Fox and Al.
Okay.
I've always wondered.
That must be a British. That must be a British. The British micro joke as the one I tried before that failed because of being a.
Well, I have made the gag before. I like furries. Some people are going to say, "Oh God, that's trans." Somehow that's trans. No, I've got no problem. I just, I mean, they're a lovely couple, and I've met them, and I know that they get a lot of shit because there's if you want to look afterwards, they got a pommeling from fucking Piers Morgan. They appeared on Good Morning Britain, and Piers just went for them. He did I'm not kidding here. He did the attack helicopter meme on them.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's so old. It's just
so stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, it's so, yeah, they need to, I mean, there are people who have made an effort to try another terrible joke, but far too often, it's the attack helicopter thing.
Well, yeah,
because most people are not comedians.
The one joke, which is I just go with them on that. I just say, okay, well, you're an attack helicopter, and they start to do something else or say or type something else, and I'm like, no, can't do that. You're an attack helicopter. You have to pass.
Anyways, I know some people just think I look at the headline.
No, way to be trans helicopter medicalist.
And
yeah, absolutely.
I know some people just think I look at the headline and that's it. Well, with this case, I have to admit I did, because I only saw this just before we came online. And, well, she's right. Shall we have a look at the comments? Because basically what she says is that Turtle aligning with the far right. She's right. I'd hate to think the comments on this are...
I'm scared. You can't even allow a balanced conversation on the topic anymore, as all the comments you don't agree with get swiftly deleted by the mods of this publication. Why is it so critical that they must tell everybody their sexual preferences? Why can't it be private? Why do they need to ruin everyone's day telling us which way they like it? Keep it private. You do not need to tell anybody. Nobody. Yeah, no, I have a problem. I have a counter to that comment already, because heterosexual stuff is everywhere. It is fucking everywhere, and if they want to keep it private, they need to keep the fucking heterosexual stuff private too. But they won't. They keep talking about how much they want to fuck women. Those men. Like, what the fuck? It's weird.
Oh, someone agrees with Trump.
Yeah, no, that is a problem.
Oh dear.
I don't think anyone with severe mental health problems should be allowed to serve. Well, being trans isn't a severe mental health problem, so I think
wanting to pick up a gun and go and kill brown people, that's a severe mental health problem.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
come on,
because
Christy,
racism racism is a cultural problem and not
yes, but the way you phrased it sounded like everybody.
It's a cultural problem. You can be completely sane and just be a fucking horrible person. You can be sane by every metric and be a horrible person. Because all you have to do is dehumanize them. All you have to do is trick your brain into thinking that they're not people effectively.
I'm talking about, like, because someone put you can't have a balanced debate and whatever else. Well, you can't. I saw Christy, do you know the long-haired guy who hosts those debates? He does with various Twitch political commentators. I forgot his Dylan. Kevin interviewed him the other day. There is a thing on his channel. There was a video on his channel where there was a trans woman debating a transphobe, and I knew where it was going to go. It literally descended into them each calling each other a cunt. Literally, that's what they would ended up doing, because you can't debate with transphobes. You just can't do it. They won't listen to reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of those things. By formatting a debate, you are suggesting that their opinion has validity.
Yeah.
Like, you can debate what you think is the best way to help large numbers of people, whether it be something more akin to mutualism or socialism. You can have like that's plenty of debate for those sorts of topics. But if you start debating, whether or not we should live under a fascist dictator, you are kind of implying that there is an actual that there is actual validity to the idea of us living under a fascist dictator.
But anyways, my thoughts on Biden is the first week, thumbs up. And Christy knows how much misgivings I've had about Biden in the past. So she'll know that, for me to do that takes a lot, but I have to swallow my words.
He's done a lot.
Yeah.
First week is a good first week. Good first week.
Yeah, I'm sure in the months to come, I will disagree with him on economic and foreign policy. But, sorry?
Very likely, as will I.
Yeah. But when it comes to LGBT rights, he's done really well. And, good on you, Joe. And, of course, Kamala as well. So, yeah, Joe Biden has picked Rachel Levine for crucial health role in a historic first. Well, I think we talked about this briefly last week. Obviously, she was the chief medical officer for Pennsylvania, wasn't she?
Yes.
And from what I heard, she did a really good job in combating. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry, Christy. She's done a really good job in helping to combat COVID-19 in Pennsylvania. And of course, Ben Shapiro thinks, it's just tokenism. They're just like, I'm sorry, Ben. Do you think there's some sort of like quota or something? He's not actually going to pick the best skilled person for the job. I think he's going to pick the best skilled person for the job, considering how serious COVID-19 is in the United States at the moment.
I found that to be when you mentioned this before we went on air, and it's like, of all the things I expected him to say about it, that wasn't it.
Well, I was going to say, well, he might not be happy to hear, but I've had some far right people saying that Joe Biden's been picking too many Jews for his in his administration.
Yeah, well,
mind you, that's an age-old one, isn't it? And we hear that every fucking time as a Democrat.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's another story to deal with. Just wait for it to load. Hello.
You can just refresh it. Sometimes pages do shit like that.
So,
I was gonna say, Arya made a good point about tokenism once. At some point, if you're a minority, you're going to be someone's effectively seen as someone's token.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to scroll down for this one. Gay Pennsylvania Representative Brian Sims has blasted fellow state lawmaker Jeffrey Pyle.
Yes, and he certainly is. He certainly is one, and he's been.
Pyle is
That's an unfortunate name, Pyle. For you don't know what piles are, do you?
Yeah, that's why I just said.
Oh,
right.
I assumed it was short for pile of shit.
No, right. Piles are what British call hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Oh.
for sharing a transphobic meme about Rachel Levine. Oh, right. So from the off, that according to screen capture shared by a Democrat on Twitter, are you going to be triggered if I click this?
No, how about? See what happens. It's not really transphobic, it's just stupid.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, that's it's the
it
reason
it's being considered
transphobic is because it's referring to her as a dude.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where sometimes context and the person sending it makes a difference, And if someone's consistently referring to every trans woman and comparing them to a dude, then yeah, it is. In that circumstance, it's transphobic, but it's not inherently transphobic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it was right
Yeah.
there too.
So look, I'm not surprised that a Republican would do this. This is the kind of shit they do. Yeah, this is what they do.
Republican? No kidding.
Yeah.
So I can't say I'm surprised, but I feel sorry for Rachel Levine because she's not been recognised for the fact that she's a very talented doctor.
Well,
I weirdly enough, the first time I saw her was on an Adam Ruins Everything from several years ago.
And by the way,
I had no idea she was trans because I don't think that way.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Just something came to mind. She's not the first trans person to serve in a Democratic administration. Obama appointed a trans woman. I think she served in the under the foreign secretary, you don't call it foreign secretary, there's a secretary for state. She was a trade negotiator, I think. I forgot her name is, sorry.
I've gone off it too, so it's like everybody, it may sound unrelated, but everybody going up and saying Laverne Cox was the first trans woman to win an Emmy, which she most definitely was not.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Right, some bad news, unfortunately. House Republican introduces anti-trans legislation that could lead to genital exams for schoolgirls. You know, some transphobes seem to be more obsessed with the genitals of trans children than trans children are obsessed with them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed how just?
I mean, Helen Stanislaw, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. More obsessed with penises than it's like. What the hell? I'm not this obsessed with my penis.
I tried to avoid thinking mine existed. I tried to avoid that at every possible turn.
Yeah, but generally, you I mean, I've always told this story. So there was a guy I hadn't seen for many years, right? And I was walking through my local shopping mall, and he actually shouted out my dead name. So I ignored it, right? And eventually, he sort of caught up with me. And I said, "Oh, hello, Richard." And he goes, "What's up with you?" And I said, "Well, I've had gender reassignment." First question he asked me is, "Have you had the snip?" You see, they're always obsessed with, we've had a Johnson's cuts off.
Well, they need to know whether or not it's okay for them to jack off to you on their own emotional scale.
But here's the thing. There's another word for people
which is worse for him. Because he's going after little girls to know whether or not he can jack off to little girls in the school.
Well, I was about to say there's another word for people who are obsessed with children's genitals. It begins with a P and ends in an E.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pile.
That wasn't the word I was thinking of. Pedophile.
Yes. We got it.
Yeah.
Whoops. I always seem to do that. So, as I said, that's probably part of the backlash. And as it goes, that won't get anywhere in fucking Congress at the moment. So,
no.
Stupid. But this will probably impact. Yet again, it's fucking Mississippi. They've also got, they've already got a bathroom bill, don't you? Similar to what North Carolina had.
Yeah.
Well, Mississippi may ban trans people under 21 from receiving healthcare. I wonder
Shock.
what. I mean, the obvious person to talk about this is
Dusty.
no.
No? Aria.
Yeah. But yeah, this doesn't surprise me. As I said, this is what's I expected. I expected Republican-controlled state legislatures to stop a backlash against Biden being pro-trans.
Well, it's just like what the TERFs did in Britain. They went after first. They went after children and young teens from being able to receive hormone blockers, and then immediately, as soon as they succeeded with that, they went after anyone under 25 or whatever.
Yeah, well, I've got a story on that coming up. So, don't worry, we're almost done. I would imagine if they go through with this, it will be challenged in the courts.
Yes.
Yes.
Because of Supreme Court rulings, it will likely be challenged and turned down. Or it'll be like the law won't last.
Yeah.
As soon as it's challenged.
Right. As I said, I had a story. This isn't good. And I have a trans friend who is a Tory. And I had to show it. I only saw this.
Sorry.
What?
That you have a trans friend who's a Tory.
No, I'm not going to mention her name. They've asked me not to mention her name on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I actually get on with them. Look,
Okay.
I should explain, Chris, you might not be up to spec on this, Ozma. So there are several right-wing parties here. Now, the Conservatives are right of centre, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would be equivalent to, say, the Democrats in America in some ways. You know, I mean, they support things like climate change, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, generally they are relatively socially liberal, right? But they do have a number of transphobes amongst their ranks. I mean, you do get social conservatives like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Priti Patel and people like that. So, you know, and then you have parties like Brexit and UKIP. Now, Rose of Moron is a kipper, from what I understand. So she's hard right. She's far right, okay?
Shock.
Sargon of Akkad, he's a member of UKIP.
Yeah.
Katie Hopkins is a member of UKIP.
I didn't know that.
Are you saying that those people are far right when they promote far right ideals?
Now, the interesting thing is, I thought, when I saw this headline, I thought, oh, it's the LGBT Alliance doing what the LGBT Alliance do. But no, it's another group. A women's sex-based rights campaign, a women's sex-based rights campaign group has told MPs to scrap Britain's Gender Recognition Act and eliminate transgenderism. We knew this was on the cards after the Kira Bell case.
Well, yeah, but also, what the fuck is up with transphobes and their transgenderism? Like, nobody has called it that. There's no reason to call it that. It's weird.
Because they think that transgender, they think that we've all been brainwashed by some sort of ideology. They think we're a cult.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Despite the fact that there's no evidence of that.
Well, the one that made me laugh was the J.K. Rowling one about, how a generation has been medicalized in thinking they're trans. And I just thought, J.K., you know, fuck all about the trans community. You know, and the fact that you have a lot of trans people going around, you're not trans enough, you're not trans enough. You know, poo-pooing and telling people not to have surgery. Right? Thinking that, you know, being trans is some sort of VIP club. Seriously, that happens.
Well, Yeah. I mean, some of the transphobes have looked at anti-Semitic dogma and just scratched out Jew and just put transgenderism in there.
Yeah, it's also more lesbian is the equivalent.
I know, well,
They're exactly what they used to do with lesbians.
Christy's right. Basically, Ariscus, you know who she, Aria Cascella. Can you pronounce her name?
Where? Caroline Nooks?
No. Aria no, not Aria, not Aria Domestic. The lesbian who supported Trump. We've done a video on her. The one
Ariel Scarcella.
That's her.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, saying how
you said lesbian and Trump, and that got me finally.
Saying that lesbians are being erased. Well, that's the equivalent to the the Lawrence Sutherland and the Great Replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sorry,
Ozma's bang on.
Sorry, I was wrong. They replaced the Jewish Bolsheviks with the transgenderism movement.
So the Women's Human Rights Campaign. All right, well, if you're a women's human rights campaign, me, Christy, and Ozma, we're all women. Oh, right.
Some of the time.
I'm wondering if the International Human Rights Campaign is going to take issue with their trademark.
Whose mission is defending women and girls and preserving our sex-based rights, was responding to an inquiry into the Gender Recognition Act. Oh, right. Let me explain this. Okay. So, this trusts the Secretary for Women and Equalities, right? She announced last September that there were shelving plans for self-ID, and patronizingly said this is what's best for trans people. A couple of days later, the Tory government said they were launching another inquiry into how to better trans rights, and this is part of that, right? They've already had a fucking inquiry. That's how, that's why that's why Theresa May's government was going to, enact self-ID.
Well, we have to win every single time, and they only have to win once. That's how that works.
Yeah.
And I'm just so sick and fucking tired of this. I mean, the other thing about the Tories, what you might not know, is they have been promising to make conversion therapy illegal for 3 years. You'd think it'd be quite easy to do, wouldn't you? Yeah.
It's fine. The LGBT Alliance is against conversion therapy, except when it comes to trans people, in which case they're fine with us being tortured.
Yeah, I read this one earlier today.
Right. Now, I am going to read through this because I actually know the people involved. I actually know them. So, a new group dedicated to promoting trans equality within the Labour Party has launched, saying there is much work to be done. Yeah, like trying to get Keir Starmer to give a shit.
Sorry, that's an impossible task.
Labour was heavily criticised for failing to address transphobia within the party in 2020, a year that saw Labour politicians quit rather than support trans equality, lose staff to their overtly transphobic views, and align themselves with transphobic hate groups. Yeah, and as a result, trans and non-binary Labour members have been quitting the party in their droves, with the chair of the Labour campaign for trans rights warning last August that Labour and Keir Starmer's inaction on transphobia would set the Party of Equality back. I've been saying this back decades when it comes to LGBT plus voters. Starmer maintains he is a proud ally.
Sort of like Rules was a proud ally as he spoke against trans women in women's sports. Lots of people like to call themselves allies, especially in Britain, it seems. They like to say, we care deeply about your problems. We just don't want to fight for them because then people wouldn't like us for fighting for your rights. The people we do care about, the Christian groups that give us money, basically.
Determined to tackle these issues, new group Labour Trans Equality has launched to work within the Labour Party to promote trans and non-binary equality. The new group is co-sponsored by Wolverhampton councillor Anwin, that's how she speaks. Hello, I'm Anwin, I'm from Wolverhampton. And before anyone says I'm taking the piss out of a trans voice, no, I'm taking the piss out of people from Wolverhampton because I speak like that, you know. Sorry, everyone in the Midlands speaks like that. I'll never forget, I had to go to a conference. Funny enough, Edward was at this conference in Birmingham, which obviously is in the Midlands, right? Not in Alabama, not just in Alabama. And I got to Birmingham New Street Station, and it's like 8:30 in the morning, and suddenly I heard over the tunnel, "Welcome to Birmingham." I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, that sounds so uplifting, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just taking a piss out of their accent. That's all. I know some people. I just find the Birmingham accent a bit depressing. That's all.
Speaking of Birmingham and Alabama, they needed to do what New York did and just name it New Birmingham.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. One time I was on a trans chat room, and I said, someone said, "What have you been doing today?" I said, "I went to Camden," and I went, "What, Camden, New Jersey?"
oh dear.
Anyway, anyways, Munston said, "I believe that shall I do it? No. I believe that if we are to deliver effective and inclusive public services, we need Labour members of Parliament and councillors who reflect their diverse communities, which of course include trans and non-binary people." True. There is much work to be done, as I said, trying to get Keir Starmer to give a shit. Emily Brothers, who I know, Heather Herbert, who I don't know, Susan Hopwood, who I've met, Dr. Natasha Kennedy, who I know very well, Councillor Osh Gantley, who I've met, Dr. Heather Peter. Christ, Heather has a doctorate? What in? Backstabbing. We'll get to that in a minute. And Astrid Walker, who's moved to France. She doesn't like Brexit. I don't blame her. Are the other co-sponsors of the new group? Right, okay. I know some background to this. Okay, so first of all, let's go through the names. Emily Brothers is a blind trans woman who actually stood as an MP in the constituency neighbouring mine. The problem with Emily is she's a mainstreamer. She really didn't like Corbyn. And in fact, ostracised herself from the rest of her constituency party. They really didn't like her for that, right? Heather Herbert, I've never met. Susan Hopwood, I've met a couple of times at Labour Party functions, but I can't say I know well. Natasha Kennedy, she's lovely, Natasha. Very intelligent as well. I mean, obviously, she's got a doctorate. Sociology, funny enough.
Well, I mean, that doesn't, like, that... I mean... Jordan Peterson is not the most intelligent person, and he has a doctorate. So doctorates...
No, but Natasha, I'm telling you, I know Natasha very well.
No, I'm just saying, you said because it's obvious because she has a doctorate, but just reminding you that Dr. Jordan Peterson does exist.
So, Natasha, now, the other thing is when Labour were basically looked like they were going to try and expel me, Natasha actually came along and gave evidence in my defense because she felt that I was getting wrongly treated for being autistic. She did, and I will give her credit for that. You know, she wasn't the biggest Corbyn supporter. I mean, she's on the left of the party, but I kind of felt she just felt that Corbyn was unelectable. You know, she agreed with everything, you know, much of what he said.
So like Bernie Sanders.
Well, she liked Bernie. She did like Bernie.
Well, I mean, people are like, there are some Democrats who are like, I like what Bernie says, but he's unelectable.
Yeah, a bit like that. Councillor Osh Gantley, who I have met, and they are actually a councillor in Corbyn's constituency. As I said, so Dr. Heather Peter, right, okay, I'm getting a bit, right. Okay, let's deal with Anwin first. So Anwin, how do I explain about it? You know, Ellen Arney used to be in the services and she's a bit intense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Anwin used to be in the services, and guess what? She's a bit intense. And she's very anal and square, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I've met people who are former service members who are really chill as well, I should say.
Well, I remember once. Well, the difference though between Ellen Arney and Anwin is, Anwin isn't. Ellen Arney is actually relatively intelligent. Anwin is not the brightest spark in the bunch. I can tell you that. Right now, I will say from the outset, I actually sympathise with this group of people because LGBT Labour, and I've experienced this for myself, treat trans people like shit. Right. I've heard. I mean, Natasha Kennedy is officially the trans officer for LGBT Labour, right? And I've heard stuff like they have conversations behind her back. Well, I know all about that because I was a disability officer for LGBT Labour, and guess what? They were doing the same to me. They never wanted me on that fucking committee at all, right? They didn't like the fact I had autism. Anyways, so Anwin means well, but she's a bit anal. Right. I remember one time I was at Pride. I was due to march with LGBT Labour. They were all drinking cans of beer, so I thought, fuck it. I had a few joints, sparked a joint up. She chased me around trying to blow the joint out. Another time I remember we were at Pride, and she seemed more interested about her battalion, a former battalion marching than LGBT Labour marching. I mean, she kept looking at her fucking phone and stuff. You know, it was. I was just thinking, well, you know,
whether you need the proper British accent just to like phrase it up like that. I don't know where I was going with that. I just wanted to shit
I was going to say the thing is, anyways, and then there was the thing is, right, with a lot of people who are heavily into politics is they don't give a shit about you. They really don't, right? They pretend to. And I'll give you an example of this with Anwin. I had suffering really bad depression, right? And it hospitalized me, okay? And basically a friend had to get me out, collected me from hospital, took me over to their house and made sure that, basically I rested and that I didn't have any stress and stuff, right? I get a call from Anwin. Could you come to the Labour Party, Labour LGBT AGM? Well, why? Anwin, well, we've got resolutions we need your support with. Anwin, I'm not well. Well, it'll be a nice afternoon out for you. Help improve your depression. You see, that was the thing. They didn't really give a shit. They just wanted me there to support a fucking resolution. They didn't care about my fucking mental health at the time. Right? But the thing I remember most about Anwin involves actually Ash Gantley. So basically, after that thing with the spliff, right, I said to Ash Gantley, I said, Anwin really needs to drink some mushroom tea to stop being so fucking anal, which Ash thought was very, very funny, right? But the next thing I know, I get a call from Aaron. What's this you been telling Ash about me taking illegal drugs? For fuck's sake. I was joking, Anwin. Yeah, but it would probably do you some good. In fact, it would do Conservatives some good if they drank some mushroom tea and sucked some cock. Lighten the fuck up. I don't just think, particularly with conservatives, they're just so fucking repressed.
Well, I mean
Anyways.
that would help, but also the death of the ego might help them look at things in a different way.
Anyways, Dr. Heather Peto is the one I have the most animosity towards. Let me explain.
Oh, so it wasn't just a horrible last name.
Right, so she was the trans officer for LGBT Labour around about 2018, right? And there was a concerted campaign, particularly by this TERF called Venice Allen, and obviously other TERFs sort of joined in, shall we say, right? And one of the things they tried to do was they tried to make out, they had some sort of obscure photo, which did look a bit like Heather, but probably wasn't Heather, you know, from some, you know, some BD, I think they were making out that she used to be a dominatrix or something, right? Though I couldn't see that having met Heather, to be honest. The thing is, I wrote a blog post saying it's probably not her, but even if it's her, it doesn't make her a bad person, right? Anyways, shortly after that, I had a heart attack.
Oh, geez.
And I was resting at home, recuperating, and suddenly I get a call one Sunday morning. Sophie, you better look at the Daily Mail. Why? You're in it. Headline: Corbyn trans ally endorses thumping feminists. I think that was the headline. Basically, I'd written a blog post which had said that I am anti-far, as in anti-fascist. I consider TERFs to be fascist, and I believe in what you know, the motto of anti-far, which is defeat fascism by any necessary means. And of course, this was misinterpreted as, oh, Sophia thinks it's okay to thump a TERF. No, I don't. Okay, it was an obvious smear job. Heather, though, Heather took the side of the Daily Mail. After I had fucking defended her, she decided to side with the Daily Mail and have me thrown out of LGBT Labour.
Gotcha.
So, look, I sympathise with these people, but some of them are just despicable cunts. You know, LGBT Labour, you know, I can tell you, and I can also say that LGBT, basically, the LGBT group in the Tory party are laughing their arse off at all this happening. They really are. Look, I wish them the best, but as I said, I've had some bad experiences with some of these people. The soft spot is for Natasha. I did like Natasha, and anyways, so yeah, as I said, this is just one example. Keir Starmer, you know, Rosie Duffield has been spouting all sorts of transphobic shite. And, well, Keir Starmer has still not removed the whip. I know we covered this a few weeks ago. Someone did ask me, would Jeremy Corbyn have removed the whip? Good question. Probably not, but he would have spoken out more against her and what she stands for. Right. Yes, guess who's turned up in the news again?
Oh, dear.
I think this is the first time we've talked about Caitlyn Jenner, isn't it? On the show.
Probably not, but
yeah,
right.
I feel like you talked about it. I feel like you talked about her during one of the LGBTQ Rants late 2020. You may have you talked about her. Oh fuck! I'm pretty sure you've talked about her. Although it could have been in one of the unaired episodes. So due to technical problems.
Anyway, she's given an interview where she says she thinks she's too controversial for the trans community. Oh, I wonder why. It wasn't because you voted for Trump. Okay, yes, you disavowed him later on.
Yeah.
But you didn't endorse any Democrat during the last year's elections, did you? No.
Well, that's because she's too economically conservative and she values money more than the other stuff.
Well, yeah, there's an interview she did with Tucker Carlson, and he did ask her, and I hate Tucker Carlson, but he did ask her the question. He said, well, why did you vote Republican? And she said, because she was complaining about Donald Trump not pissing on trans rights. And she said, oh, I'm not a single issue voter. No, shit. Well, actually, you are. You're just concerned about the size of your fucking wallet and prolonging your fame and celebrity. Look, I will always defend Caitlyn Jenner against the transphobic shit she gets, but I'm sorry, I can't defend her politics.
Nope.
Yeah, because her politics are largely terrible. She is no Blair White or Rose of Dawn, because she does actually occasionally Caitlyn Jenner has occasionally contributed to help trans people, at least financially. On occasion, there have been a few times, just in terms of stuff I have seen her do. So it's not like she's not the worst. Caitlyn Jenner is far from the worst. Not great, but far from the worst.
Yes. It's not meant to be taken.
That's a joke news.
Yeah, it is. But I did think it was funny.
I mean, yes, it was funny.
It is indeed funny.
Yes. I'm just officially on the record as stating this is a joke news title. J.K. Rowling, at the very least, has not explicitly stated she will only go ahead if she can inspect the genitals of everyone involved, although unofficially she may have.
But yeah, talking of Joanna Rowling, yes, our queen has posted a video.
A 1 hour 29-minute video is too long.
Yeah, we're not going to go through this video. You can go and watch it yourself, okay? We've been at this for almost 2 hours already, so
yeah.
We're over 2 hours.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, we are at 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Well, that shows that we've had a good show, doesn't it?
Yes.
But anyways, before I go, please go and watch this video, because Contra Natalie she's great. All right. And
I would, but
a lot of people are saying that that because she says that she understands Twitter being the target of Twitter mobs, that she's saying she sympathizes with TERFs, which she does not. And it's just, I hate fucking trans Twitter once in a while.
Well, I was gonna say I probably won't, only because I find most ContraPoint's videos to be boring to me. Like, I can't.
But it's not my style as such.
It gets so boring.
But I appreciate what she says. And as for her videos being too long, they probably are. I'm sure her videos used to be a bit more concise when she had a smaller budget, weirdly.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where ContraPoints always seems like she is continuing to figure herself out and figure some things out, and because she's open about that and open about her views, even when they are very wrong, she gets backlash because she is open about her views even when she's wrong, as she's figuring things out. And I just think I think a lot of this would be a lot of the issues against ContraPoints would be solved if she had a decent PR department. That's like half of YouTube. Like, the problems would be solved by a decent PR department because they do not know how to do it. So, Natalie, if you're hiring, I could definitely do your PR.
All right. Well, that brings to a close another. Unless you two have anything more to say.
I have not.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up like all the Biden stuff, and that was the biggest thing. Plus, I mean, I've been like a mess, a lot this past week. So, and I'm slowly getting back together emotionally. So,
So, has anything been said in chat?
not anything that I haven't brought up. Yeah, outside of interesting, I've never watched ContraPoints, so that's an interesting perspective. I'm not quite sure what that comment is about in terms of if it was what I said or what you said, Sophia, but yeah.
All right. Well, Christy, where can people find you?
Well, I'm on the Fluid Voice channel, and I'm on my own channel, which is Christy Abbey, spelled just like it is on the screen, and on Twitter at Normality Quake, one word, and let's just go with those for now.
Ozma?
Okay, you can find me in Ozma in the Dark just about everywhere. You can find me on the Fluid Voice, both in this show and the Fluid Voice, the original show on there. Also, check out Christy and Sophia's channel because Christy, I had a wonderful conversation with Christy on her channel, and you should go check that out. And I had a wonderful conversation about the Holocaust Memorial on your channel, Sophia, and that should also be checked out.
I didn't post it up.
Oh, you haven't posted it yet?
No, I found it too upsetting.
Oh,
I cut. Sorry, hon.
Well, whatever. I had an interesting conversation. We brought up some of the elements here today. But yeah, fuck Nazis.
Okay.
Oh, you can find me at Talking to Nothing on Twitter. Talking to Nothing minus the G on Twitch. On Saturdays and Sundays, I stream WoW Classic raids, and feel free to chat with me because there isn't as much conversation as I would like.
Okay, just a bit of housekeeping before we go. We will be streaming this show from next week on my channel. That's Sophia Christina Botha on YouTube. Just having to get used to OBS. We might be going more than one time a week, though we need to work that out in the future.
Yeah, and you can catch it on Sophia's channel, or you can catch one of the things on this channel, although Sophia's channel will have more news stuff. Yeah.
I will post up some new content on my channel in the next few days. I've got a few ideas I've been working on. In the meantime, you can find me on Twitter at Sophia Botha 74. Please go and follow me. And also, of course, please like, subscribe, and share this video.
Please comment.
Oh, and yes, of course, please give us feedback.
The feedback on the strange metal clicking sound was quite helpful, and we have done our best to try to prevent that from happening again. We did
Well,
figure
that
out
won't be happening. That won't be happening when I'm doing it and when I'm in charge of OBS. Anyways, until the next.
Yeah, the point is we addressed that, and that comment was appreciated. Was what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Okay, and until the next time, stay safe and peace out.